Hi, this is Dustin Hill from Black Pussy, and you're listening to Doomed Tomb. Can't stop the rock, and we're on tour forever.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doomed Tomb podcast. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today on the podcast, before we start the interview, let's get into some music. This is the band Lagoon, L-A with an accent over the top, G-O-O-N. Find them on social media. They're out of Portland, Oregon. They're a two-piece. They say that this release, The Grim Ripper, is influenced completely by skateboarding. Let's check out the title track. This is Grim Ripper. Just a few quick things before we start the interview. There are a bunch of bands out on tour right now and a lot coming over to my neighborhood. The band Sixes. Black Pussy was just here, and I know they're touring. They're on tour forever, let's face it. RIP, R.I.P. They're going to be coming over here, and I know they're going to a tour. Salem's Bend. They feel like they've been in the van forever, and they're going to be coming by. Hoodoo a Kill. I think this is their first big tour, so go check them out if you can. Follow them. That's an interesting spelling. It's H-U-D-U-A-K-I-L. Also, another band, the Atlas Moth, has a few more dates left. Check them out if you get the chance. Also, just heard that Elder is going to be touring, so that I'm looking really forward to that. I know they're coming over on my neck of the woods in about August, so look out for tour dates for Elder. I also got to speak with my good buddy over at Forever Doomed Streetwear. I know they have new material coming soon. Just want to give them a quick shout out. They always put out some quality stuff. Check them out. Check out what they've had, and they're going to be having some new stuff coming soon, so sit tight. That is coming. Also, I met somebody, I've met him before, but this guy, his name is Jonathan Portnoy, and if you are looking for some custom cabinetry, it's called Moon, M-O-O-N, Custom Cabinetry, and he does custom pedal boards. Last podcast I talked about Gate Creeper, and one of the guys had a pedal board, and it was his. It was the one that Jonathan made. So he not only does pedal boards, but he does refinishing and rehousing of cabinets. He does custom woodworking for musical instruments and just everything in the market. I know he has on his website that he has some kind of piece where you can hold, I don't know, 5, 6 different guitars at once. It's a really beautiful looking piece. Go check him out at Moon Custom Cabinetry. I will put a link in the show notes. The interview today we have is part 1 of 2 with Paul from King Chiefs. They have a new release out, and you might know them also as just Chiefs. They changed the name, and you'll find out in the interview as to why. And they have a new release called Blue Sonnet, and they will be on tour later this year. So go check them out when they're on tour, and check out this release. Find them on social media. Give them a shout. We go over a whole bunch of things in part 1, whether it's early influences, early punk influences, the Tempe, Arizona scene musically, the band Amigo and how they helped this band work their stuff out. We talk about Paul singing and if he sounds like somebody or what kind of reviews he gets as a singer. He also discusses a lot about the nomadic life, and he describes why it is so important to him, and I thought that was a really interesting part. We also talk a little bit about working out with Steve Maxwell, and also some of his earlier bands like Knife Talk and Shark Party, and you'll see some stuff in the show notes regarding that. So let's get into this. I think we end part 1 at a beer break. So this is Paul from King Chiefs. That you really like, or?
I'm really not much of a movie guy, man.
Okay.
I mean, I don't hate movies or anything, but I just don't. Any free time I get is just relaxation or music. I'm serious. You know, I don't have a house right now.
Right.
Hanging out with my buddies, couch surfing between Deer Valley and all the way down to Baseline in Tempe, Baseline in Kyrene. Got some buddies I'm staying with, and yeah, man, it's pretty much just work, couch surf and
No Netflix?
play. Nice, yeah, I don't have anything like that, man.
Oh my God.
I got no Netflix, no. I got nothing, man. I just.
So it takes you, so you don't have to worry about anything else but music.
I mean, man, I tried, dude. I try, man. I've had, years in my 20s where I felt like there was a lot of wasted time with, certain entertainment.
Right.
Know? And I don't know, man. It just kind of got a fire under my ass when it came starting Chiefs and whatnot. I really just have been in a van or hanging out with homies, crashing at their places, and then just kind of just doing my thing.
Sure.
Work and music. That's really all I focus on.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
I am with Paul from
King Chiefs.
Okay, and it was formerly known as?
Formerly known as Chiefs, yes.
Now, can you explain what the difference was or how this happened?
Yeah, totally. So the band started in 2012, the end of 2012, under the name Chiefs, and we went for a while with the name Chiefs, and we loved the name Chiefs.
Right.
It meant something to us, and it was a powerful name that we could all feel, personally in touch with. We ended up changing it to King Chiefs just because it's somewhat difficult in this day and age with social media and everything being online and whatnot. We just wanted to make a name keeping Chiefs, but something Chiefs just to get a little more specific.
Right, so you're at the top of the list.
Well, yeah. So that way when people search for us, after a show or after hearing something on Bandcamp or whatever, they can find us. It comes right up.
Absolutely. So let's start off. I want to talk about your latest release, which is Blue Sonnet, and which I think is a really awesome album. Just the idea, and we'll talk about it a little more, but the amount of riffs you got in there and this groove vibe that you create is fantastic. I'm just loving it. It's such a different album than the previous.
It is.
And I would love to talk about that.
It really is, yeah.
But first, let's start off maybe a little bit earlier. Like, what was the first music that you purchased as a kid?
Ooh, well, as a kid, I got a lot of buddies, in music. Man, my older brother got me into, my dad, my mom played me this. My family didn't listen to music. I never once in my life as a child heard music in my household. Not anything. There was no music ever.
What'd they do for entertainment?
Smoke cigarettes, drink.
There you go.
They movies, and but yeah, my old man was a real hardworking dude. I didn't see him much as a kid. He was always working. He was a salesman, car salesman. He was gone all the time.
Right.
And
I guess he didn't push the stereos at all in the cars.
Yeah, right. They're dead. But yeah, I mean, my first real like connection with a band and music was actually being a kid going to Zia and East Side Records back in the day in Tempe. And I got, a few Black Flag LPs.
I see you got the tattoo.
What started it all for me.
Right.
I mean, that got me into, punk. I was a kid. I was a punker. A lot of kids start with metal or whatever.
Right.
I started with punk, man. I was a punk drummer, got into it deep, and then honestly, I fell in love with Greg Ginn and everything he's ever done with work ethic, with touring for Black Flag, SST Records, starting his own label, putting his own shit out, putting his friend's shit out.
So you were a punk kid?
I was a punk kid, yeah.
Who else besides Black Flag?
I mean, JFA.
Jodie Foster's Army.
Yeah. Being from Phoenix, man,
There you go. Were they from Phoenix?
They were, yes, sir.
By the time I was listening to JFA, I was in New York.
Nice.
So I used to, I don't know if anybody else did this, but back in the day, before the internet, you'd have to order a catalog, or you get a catalog of stuff, and that was one of the bands that came up, and I was like, I'll give them a shot. I'll see what they do, and it was great.
Hell yeah, yeah. I liked a lot of the street, like the skate punk style. I even got into like the punk thrash stuff too. But yeah.
Are we talking like Gangrene or like Suicidal?
Yeah, exactly. Suicidal Tendencies, Gangrene. I love that shit. Gorilla Biscuits, even. I dug deep into a lot of that 80s shit, and even as trendy and popular as it all was, Misfits, obviously,
Sure.
like a lot of the East Coast shit that was going on back then. But yeah, it really all started with Black Flag and falling in love with that band and realizing like, whoa, like, hey, hold up, like these guys can hardly even play their instruments, you know, to a point, you know.
Sure.
And it's like, man, if these guys can do it, for a fucking 12-year-old little me, it's like, man, I could do this too, you know. So it really got the inspiration going for me with the punk rock.
And they had raw power. Did you follow Rollins on his solo work?
I really didn't. I checked a little bit out here and there. I was never really a huge Rollins guy. Like I said, I totally respect Rollins and everything he did for those guys. A lot of like diehard Black Flag, fans. They hate Rollins or whatever. Mm-hmm. I got no hate in my heart for anybody, but I never really got too into Rollins. I was more into Greg Ginn and what he was doing, and Dez was probably my favorite era of singer with Black Flag for sure.
Well, yeah. What was the book? I think it was Get in the Van. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a great book. It's a full diary. And, for anybody that doesn't know what it's like to sweat it out on traveling from town to town in a van, that is a perfect book to read.
Man, I remember being in high school and reading that book in class all the time. I would sit in high school and stare at maps of the United States of America and just think about their routes and how hard they worked, and I just wanted to break out of school and get doing the same thing, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, it was exciting to get into those guys and that kind of that work ethic and whatnot.
So basically you're saying the first, I don't know what you got, a cassette album?
Yeah, I got a 7-inch, I think. It was a 6-pack 7-inch.
Black Flag.
Yeah, that was the very first record I ever bought was a 6-pack 7-inch Black Flag, yeah.
And yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to ask is, traveling over here earlier, I had this like flashback all of a sudden as I was thinking of questions that I wanted to talk to you about. I remember growing up and there was a little league field and they had a dugout, and on the dugout there was some graffiti, and one said it had the KISS logo,
yeah,
and the other was Aerosmith, and I didn't know what that was at the time, but I looked next to it and there's something that says cocaine and then smoke pot and the big marijuana leaf, and I was like, oh, drugs are bad, and so that they got to be bad. And I used to go over to these retail outlet stores, like what would be a Target now, and it was Bradley's and Caldor. Those were the two, and they would have these posters. And I would look through the posters, and I would see an Aerosmith poster, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so scary. And as I got older, I found out, well, oh shit, they're just a really great band.
Right.
Right, I mean, did you have that? Did you have any of that with maybe Black Flag or maybe another band where you didn't know what they were until you got older, and you're like, oh, that's not so bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, coming out of punk rock, getting a little older, I mean, it's every kid's, feelings and frustrations all tied up into punk rock. So, once I got a little older and left Arizona for the first time, I did start listening to, more music that, I, in a sense, probably should have got into a little sooner. But yeah,
right.
Like you mentioned, KISS.
Right.
Certain bands like that. That was like my first real love. I mean, I love Black Flag. I love punk. But when I first heard certain, I don't want to say classic rock, but
yeah,
the rock greats, that I had never heard of.
We call them legacy bands.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Like I said, never having music in my house. I never heard Aerosmith or anything mainstream at all. So once I got into that on my own, I kind of was like, wow, so this is what I've been missing out on. Mm-hmm. I love the punk rock, always will, it's my roots. But once I started hearing some riffs and slowed down a little bit, I think I found my place a little bit more with my, what I wanted to do with music.
So what was one of the first bands that you were in?
One of the first bands I was ever in?
Yeah, like what kind of music was it?
Well, I was in a band as a kid out here in Phoenix called Stood Up, Shot Down. And
okay.
We were kids, man. I mean, we were kids. So it was just punk, it was just punk stuff. Not street punk or like anything crazy, not, but it was just, like your typical... like Pennywise type punk.
Sure.
Just fast and fun, and
2.5 minute song.
Right. Minute 20 even sometimes.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, man, that was my first band ever, and then I was just in band after band after band. I was always a drummer, for all these bands as a kid growing up out here, and yeah, I was in a lot of bands from age 13 to to about 18 here in the Valley.
Okay.
Probably a good 5 or 6 of them, but none of which you would probably know. You know, we were just friends having fun doing our thing.
Well, look, I knew JFA, so you know.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. But yeah, I guess it didn't really get. I don't want to say serious or anything because it's still us just having fun. But like, it didn't really become something that I was compelled to do over everything else all the time until I left Arizona and went to Portland, Oregon, actually.
Yeah.
And joined some bands out there playing drums, and that's pretty much when I never really looked back.
There always seems to be a big scene over there.
There is.
Whether it's Portland, Seattle, I mean, everybody knows Seattle scene, blah, blah, blah. But there's really a lot going on. And you know what? I since moving out here, I think there's a big scene here. I mean, I could go to a show every day here if I wanted to.
Right.
There's always something happening here, and it's different genres, obviously, but there's so much here. I think it's another scene out here, actually.
I do too, man, and I think it's a sleeper scene for sure. You know, I think a lot of people maybe don't think of Phoenix as a place popping with music and local bands and good shit going on. You know, just because I guess maybe it's not your typical liberal artsy city.
Sure.
Where that's music and art is just huge in the culture. Out here it's really not, but yeah, we definitely have a lot of that out here, man. A lot of great bands out here, and we really always have, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we should how about we get into the album? How about that?
Sure.
Blue Sonnet. Now this album, first off, it's to me it sounds like a far cry from Stone Bowl.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Stone Bowl was a single I did, a split with Fuzz Evil from Sierra Vista.
Yep.
Great band, great dudes, the Rudell Bros. We all love them. But yeah, Stone Bowl was actually like really. I mean, we started with I guess a demo of 4 songs that ended up on Tomorrow's Over.
Right.
But yeah, after that demo, I did a Stone Bowl single, and that was pretty much me just trying to keep myself sane and moving, because at that time things were getting very ugly and stagnant for me.
Okay.
With
personally or just musically?
Both.
Right.
Both. Definitely both. More so personally.
Okay.
But musically wasn't great either. I had a good buddy of mine, a childhood friend of mine, helping me out with Chiefs in the beginning when we were a 2-piece.
Right.
And, life happens, as we all know, and sometimes things, we get curveballs. We're not ready to, we're not ready for those. So, things happen, people come and go, but as long as we're always tight and we've always been good friends. Anybody I've ever played with, there's no ill feelings and whatnot.
Yeah, you just rise above.
Yeah, right, and just keep going. So that's what Stone Bowl was. It was me saying, you know what, I just need to do something, so I'm doing something,
Good.
And then, we did that, me and I had a bass player on that, actually, a guy who played bass, but I played everything else on that one.
Okay.
And yeah, that was like my first really kind of like, I'm going to try to write something that's a little, I don't know, hyptonic, if you will. I don't know. I guess that riff's a little, that riff's a little different than anything I've done since,
And you can tell that.
Yeah.
Now, with this new album, I have to ask, because I have some definite ideas about it. Mm-hmm. You seem like you're in such a better space now. Was this an easy record to record? I mean, were you happier making this album? Because I feel like I hear that. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Yeah. No, I think that's rad that you think that, man. That you even would mention that, because it's been a real weird, it's not your typical band, Chiefs or King Chiefs now, before or present. It never has been your typical band. It's kind of been me trying to just do something, having a vision and trying to just do something, even sometimes when I'm alone with it. But, everything I did, and then the first debut LP, Tomorrow's Over, that was just me all in the studio by myself. And that was the most emotionally draining, frustrating thing I've ever been through.
Really?
Yeah, because I've been through the studio many times, but to do it where you're doing everything 8 hours a day, all day,
Yep.
it was. I mean, I don't know, Ryan Butler. I record with him down in Chandler and whatnot. He's been in a few great bands out here, Landmine Marathon, Unra, older '90s punk band. But he would definitely back me up when I say I lost my head a little bit on Tomorrow's Over. It was a real emotionally low place for me, and I was alone.
I mean, I can hear it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that the music is bad or anything. It means the music's great. It's just there was more of a place of pain from what I can hear. Whereas, and we'll go through this, but in this album, I hear some new beginnings, and I hear some things of I'm getting past it. Whatever it is, I'm pushing through, and we'll go over that track by track.
Cool, man. Yeah, definitely a different vibe on Blue Sonnet. I don't think any musician really wants to do the exact same thing they just did. But it's definitely a different vibe. I definitely, Blue Sonnet still entails, pain and struggle and perseverance and all this stuff that I just seem to, can't shake. But it's definitely the main difference with Blue Sonnet is I met a guy named Jeff Podeswick.
Okay.
And Jeff is in a killer band called Amigo in San Diego. And I met those guys in 2013 when we were playing shows out there as a two-piece. And long story short, basically, eventually ended up asking Jeff to join the band. He did. We've been playing together for about 5 years now, but this is the first, Blue Sonnet is the first one with him on it. And that made the studio experience definitely a little more fun, definitely a little more band vibe, if you will, even, having some help, and not only that, Jeff and I are, he's my best friend.
You got somebody to bounce off of, too.
Exactly, yeah, and he's an incredible musician on his own with Amigo, and then what he brings to this project, is definitely welcomed in a huge light. For me, especially,
right.
know. So that was definitely a good vibe. We wrote the whole thing in Jeff's bedroom in San Diego, and on some practice amps.
All right, yeah, that's going to be one of the questions.
Yeah, we wrote the whole album, and and honestly, it was between, I had to go out to San Diego. I was here at the time working, and I had to go out to San Diego. I think I was out there for a week and a half, 2 weeks,
right?
And I had to jet back and get back to work. In a way, I wish we could have spent a little more time, but at the same time, Jeff and I vibe real well, and we're very similar-minded, with music and pretty much everything else in life. So, yeah, I definitely feel like it came together pretty quick, in a good way for us. But I mean, there's always room to grow, and there's always, you could always do better. So it's like we're definitely looking forward to. Just keep doing it and just keep doing it.
Absolutely. So let's start off with the first track, City That You Sleep. What can you tell me about this song?
Well, this song is it's definitely a high energy intro.
Yeah, you come out banging.
I guess,
Comes out with a banger.
It does.
Huge solo.
Yeah.
And I mean, super ass catchy riff. I mean, it sounds, I hate comparing people. It sounds like a better Smashing Pumpkins, and sped up out. I was curious if I should ask this question, but I just got to ask it. Who do you get compared to vocally? Because I have one person.
Vocally, I get a lot of different stuff all the time, and I would say that the one I've gotten most, I'm not sure if it's really even vocally, but the one band that people have been like, I hear this in your band, whether they're talking about the music or the vocals or both.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure, but Helmet.
Yes, absolutely. Paige Hamilton. I could close my eyes and and look, I've been a Helmet fan for years, ever since Strap It On and even before Born Annoying and all this stuff. And from Amphetamine Reptile, shout out to them. And as much as I love them, you sound like what Paige Hamilton could be if he could sing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I try to just do whatever comes natural. I really don't try to do anything that I can't do.
Right.
You know, I just do what I do, and that's what it is, you know. And
but it fits so well with the music.
I'm glad to hear that, man. You know, we've had mixed opinions, of course, but, you know, that's part of being a band, man. You know, you put your shit out there.
Not everybody likes everything.
Exactly. You put your shit out there, you're going to get people who dig it, you're going to get people who don't dig it. But, you know, I have seen on online and on forums and whatnot, like, oh, riffs are sick, singer sucks, you know, but
really,
I have seen a few of those, but at the same time, you know, like, it's not everyone's cup of tea, man, and I can totally understand that, and there's no hard feelings.
Not everybody likes a death metal growl either.
That's true.
Not everybody likes a black metal shriek.
That's true.
Or a doom scream or what have you. There's room for everybody, whether it's a clean vocal, whether it's a harsh vocal. You don't have to like it.
Right.
It's fair and simple.
Right.
But anyway, let's get back to the song, City That You Sleep. What can you tell me about it? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good, man. So that's, I'm not sure if that's the first one we wrote. I want to say it is, but I'm not positive. But that song lyrically is about, it's pretty much about, like, people, you know, in general, even myself included, not always living for the right reasons, if you will.
Okay.
Sleeping on your dreams and sleeping on what you really want to be or what you really want to do. That's kind of what that song's about. It's about, you know, pretty much just mediocrity when it's too normal. You know, it's just it's so easy for people to get locked in with jobs and, you know, real life, whatever have you.
Afraid to take a chance?
Yeah, afraid to take a chance, but not only that, just afraid to just do what they want to do. I mean, everybody's got to make money. Everybody's got to do what they got to do.
Sure.
Of course, you know, but there is a lot of, in my opinion, you know, I just feel like even with a lot of my buddies I've known in life, a lot of guys and even ladies, you know, people just don't just put their neck out there and say, fuck it, you know, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. Like, this is what I love. This is what I want to do. You know, I'm going to do it, you know, rather than like, well, this is what I love. This is what I wish I could do, but I got to do this. And it's, you know, that's pretty much what that song's about. It's about just having the guts to do what you want to do and not to sleep on your dreams.
And it's good to have the music behind it that you have, because it's a chugger, man. It like I said, it comes out of the gate. And it's like a lot of the tracks on here that you just want to start bopping your head. You start want to banging, you know. And sometimes, you know, some music you just kind of, okay, yeah, I appreciate that. That's good. That's very nice. But this is like right out the gate, man. And I want to go into track 2, Surely Never. What can you tell me about this? Because I feel as soon as you came off that high, you get a little deeper, and we go a little groovier, get a little slinky, a little like snake-like grooving back and forth. Yeah. What can you tell me about this track?
This track is definitely, I definitely like this one a lot. It's definitely a track I'm pretty proud of. Lyrically, it's, you know, like the title suggests, you know, it's doubt. It's, it's, you know, doubting oneself and, you know, struggling with, you know, confidence or whatnot. But through all that, it's like I said, even back to the first song, just having the guts to just continue on, even if there is no reason, or even if the reason is long gone, I'm still doing it, no matter what.
Right.
For worse, or, you know, for the most part.
Sure.
And that's kind of what that song's about. Surely Never. There's some lines about some people in my personal life in that one, and then there's definitely just some hints to, like I said, self-doubt and just, you know, pushing through even when it's hopeless. That's pretty much what that song's about.
That's very interesting, because in looking at the tracks and going over it, did you calculate the order of these songs? And the reason I ask you that is so you come out with City That You Sleep, and it's like, hey, you know, get at it. And then you're like, well, I'm getting at it, but I'm kind of doubtful about it. And then as we go through the tracks, it almost feels like there's a point where you turn and you're like, well, I have to leave that behind. I have to step over that to get to the next level. And was that conscious?
In a sense, yes. I mean, that's definitely that's definitely the feeling, you know, in a lot of this.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely remember wanting to do 1 and 2 with City, and then Surely Never right after, being they almost contradict each other. It's and that's just, to me, that's what I live with every day.
Yeah, that's what happens with a human every day.
Right. I mean, I can only speak for myself, of course, but I would imagine anybody, on a good day, yeah, fucking let's get it. I feel good. And then, like I said, life happens.
Right.
It hits you, and you get hit, and you take those hits, and it does something to you, man. I'm not saying anyone here is giving up, but it definitely makes you feel like giving up, And that, just 1 and 2 right there is just, basically just, yeah, how do I say it? It's, like I said, almost contradicting each other.
Well, like I said, you're saying go out and do, and then but I'm having doubts about it, and that's an honest emotion.
Yeah, and everything in my music, lyrically, it's all honesty. I just write about mainly how I feel, and the moments in that moment, and yeah, I gotta say, man, I've been through some stuff. We all have, and life gets pretty doubtful. I do struggle as a person myself enormously with confidence and with, hope, having hope,
As we all do.
Being hopeful, right.
I said this to you off mic. I was out in Austin, and I was doing this podcast and trying to do interviews, and as soon as I got off the plane, I was like, I don't know if I should even be here.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
Exactly. So City That You Sleep is you buying the tickets.
Yeah.
And then Surely Never is that initial feeling of being there and being like, well, I don't feel like I fit in. Maybe this isn't,
Maybe this isn't going to work.
Maybe this isn't the spot for me right now.
Exactly.
And then you walk inside.
And boom, I get such love and such great things from everybody that was there. I mean, Damon Caraway from Gravitoid Presents was a phenomenal host, and it was just a great time.
Right.
But we're here to talk about you.
Well, and that's funny, though, because you say that, and that's essentially where track 3 comes in. With the
Drifter.
With the Drifter, right? With the great time. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny how that works. But, yeah, Drifter, that track is definitely about, as it obviously sounds, being a nomad, having no home, and having no tie-downs to anything or anybody.
I wasn't aware. When I heard Drifter, and this is just my interpretation, I thought it had to do with touring. Is that a piece of it, or?
It could be. I mean, it could be. I mean, Drifter is, I feel like it's one of those songs where whatever it makes you feel like it's about is what it's about.
Sure.
But, I mean, from a personal standpoint, lyrically with that one, it's about being a kind of a lost soul in a sense, and really having no home, man. I don't have walls of my own to put up pictures, and I don't have anything, like that. So Drifter's about living in a van and roughing it out, and just, I don't feel good. I get stagnant, man, when I stay places too long. I don't know how other people do it. I work, I'll drift in and out of places, and I'll meet great people. Yeah, I've been here working this job 20, 30 years, and in my head, I'm like, props to you. Yeah. Because you're obviously a stronger person than I am. Because me, when it comes to, traveling and just experience, that's what I'm addicted to.
But that might be something really outside of a norm because, as they say, change is the only constant. But so many people fear change, and you're willing to do that constantly.
I fear I fear the stagnant life. That's my biggest fear, is just going to work and coming home.
Right.
And to me, I don't want a home. I don't. I want a band, and I want a van, and I want to be on tour making records, And yeah, I mean, I got to do what I got to do. But,
sure.
But that's what Drifter's about. It's just about, here I am, and there I go, on to the next. I'm never gonna stay still. I'm never gonna stop. And that's what Drifter's about. It is a positive message in there.
Yeah.
But there's also the sense of, Drifter as in like kind of a lost sense to that as well. I feel like there's definitely both vibes in that song.
Yeah, it's lost, and you find your bliss in the change. Mm-hmm. I think. I mean, it's possible.
It's kind of what I'm going for, man. To be honest with you, it's kind
of. There's a guy. I mean, for people who haven't met me, and if you get me started on it, it'll be a long conversation. I like kettlebells. I like to work out with kettlebells, and there is a guy that is a kettlebell guru. His name is Steve Steve Maxwell. And I think he's in his 60s by now. And he is the same thing. He's been on Joe Rogan podcasts and other podcasts, and he says it straight up. He says, I don't have a home. He says, I don't want one. I had all that. I had that material bullshit. I don't. The way he puts it, he has a backpack and something within hiking that they go by grades. I don't know, it's 65 or something, 75. I forgot how he said it, but it's refers to a weight. Once he goes over a certain weight, he's like, well, that's just stuff on my back. That's just another beast on my back. I got to lighten my load. He has everything that he has in his world in that backpack. I mean, I don't know if I could ever do that, but that sounds like an amazingly interesting life and an interesting way to live. I mean, he does seminars all around the world, but he doesn't have a place to live. He just keeps going from place to place to place.
Right, and that's essentially what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of peace in that, man. I really do fear that lifestyle where I am on my deathbed and I'm thinking, man, I wish. You know? So yeah, I mean, it's just about fuck it, life's short. I want to see as much as I can. I want to experience as much as I can.
Sure.
You know, obviously, I'd love to stack up as much money as I can, but that my personal, I just can't live a life about that. You know, I just got to keep moving and keep trying new shit out. You know,
and let's hope it keeps generating money for you.
Yeah, well, I always work shitty jobs everywhere I go. You know what I mean? I've always got some shitty job, but yeah, I don't need much, man. You know, I don't need much. All my gear's, knock on wood, you know,
right.
It's all sturdy and it ain't, you know.
Good point to bring up. What gear are you using, and is there anything you're looking forward to getting?
The gear that I'm using is the gear I'll forever use.
All right.
With the JCM 800, the Marshall amp there, with the Russian Big Muff fuzz. I have a green bubble font old 90s one that I record with that sounds massive. I no longer tour with that one because people steal shit all the time.
Yeah, they do.
You know, so I have the black reissue muffs, the Russian ones that I tour with and whatnot, a few of those. But really, yeah, it's between the JCM 800, a muff pedal, and a Gibson Les Paul. I mean, that's just my bread and butter right there. You know, that's my go-to. I'm really not the most, you know, I don't know how you say it. Like Jeff, for instance, he's a serious player. You know, he's got multiple axes. He's got he's got a million pedals. I mean, the guy's got so much gear, and I envy those guys, you know. But if I had that stuff, I wouldn't know what to do with it, man.
Right.
You know, I try to keep things pretty simple.
Yeah, keep it basic.
Because I feel like I like the sound I'm getting. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm slowly adding a few things, you know, a few pedals and whatnot. But really, gear is just all about the amp and the guitar and the muff.
Well, yeah, I remember years ago, you looked at Stevie Ray Vaughan, you looked at the guitar he had, you could see how weather beaten that was, and that was his guitar, right? And he just used it constantly. And,
right.
I mean, I don't know, Angus Young, I don't know if he changed out a lot. I seem to remember him being with the same guitar quite a bit.
I feel like he played the same one for a long time. I mean, shit, even a lot of my favorite players, they had one guitar and they played that guitar. I mean, that was it. You know, even Greg Ginn, man, he had a couple, but
right.
You know, man, you get one you love, you fall in love with, and it's hard to steer away from anything else. You know.
And who are some of your heroes? Who are some of the people that you're like your guitar hero, so to speak?
Well, like I mentioned, of course,
drummers, because you also were drummer.
Right. Well, it all started with drums for me personally as a musician, but Greg Ginn, obviously being, you know, hearing Greg Ginn solo was one of the most interesting things I've ever heard, and that actually, believe it or not, really inspired me because you know, I don't want to say it's bad, but you know, there's bad notes in Greg Ginn solos.
Yeah.
So. You know, that was something that was like, wow, I really dig this guy's style, and you don't have to be fucking Angus Young to play guitar, you know? And to me, for guitar at least, those were my, you know, main influences, you know, like people who maybe weren't at the top, you know, in the rock and roll world or whatnot, but had a lot of their own style and a lot of their own, you know, groove to it and whatnot.
Sure.
Drummers, I mean, shit, man. I really never spent too much time getting into anybody specifically. It was just more about, drummers that would just kind of go apeshit, and
Right.
get wild and hit as hard as possible. Those are the high energy drummers. I'm not even really sure if I have a drummer role model or main influence. I really don't even.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just bands. Certain bands that just kind of got me interested in that kind of high intensity type of play, if you will.
There you go. All right. Well, let's move forward with Fossils. I noticed a bit of a change on the vocal here.
This
can you tell me about it?
This one Jeff sings.
Okay.
This is one Jeff sings, and Jeff wrote the lyrics on Fossils too.
That's why the vocals.
That's why it's a little different. Jeff actually sings on Fossils number 4 and on the last song,
Yeah.
Shrine of Your Beholder. And I do a little bit of backups on the last song too, but he's the main vocalist on the last song. But yes, Fossils is definitely a jam we wrote together musically. And honestly, that's maybe one of my, between Fossils and Slug, is probably those are probably my 2 favorites off Sonnet. But
Okay.
But yeah, I know Jeff, lyrically, he was definitely, I mean, I can't speak for him, but I definitely know he was going for, Jeff and I always joke around about, what's making music to us and what's putting out albums worth. And it's really, for us as musicians, it's a type of, almost disease that we can't stop. We're never going to stop playing music because we can't, and
Sure.
Fossils is really a song we always joke about calling records time capsules. And that's pretty much essentially, in a nutshell, what Fossils lyrically is about.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I get the connection.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I mean, of course, Jeff wrote the lyrics, so I can't speak too fully on every single stuff there. But yeah, I definitely know that was the main idea with that one lyrically, was just leaving fossils behind and, working on things that you can be happy, that you have behind you,
Okay. Now let's take just a quick break off of the songs, and let me ask you about the cover.
Sure.
What can you tell me about this cover? I mean, it looks beautiful.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm glad you dig it. The first album, Tomorrow's Over, was more of a cartoon cover.
Yes.
And I typically don't go for those, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I typically am not really a cartoon cover kind of fan. I mean, it's whatever. But David Paul Seymour did that one for Tomorrow's Over, and he did an insane, incredible job. He asked.
Here's another shout out to David Paul Seymour, who
Minnesota.
is gonna get on this podcast one day. I swear.
Hell yeah, man! Good guy. He does so much for everybody, man. He's very involved, and definitely a pleasure to have worked with him and have his artwork on my first album. Definitely very, very happy about that. And it's crazy too, because he just asked me to send him the lyrics to the title track, and I sent him the lyrics, and that's what he drew.
Wow.
So to me, it was very powerful. And I was into it, Blue Sonnet, though, we definitely wanted to do something completely different than cover cartoon art or even art at all. Mm-hmm. Blue Sonnet is it's a photograph, the cover.
Okay.
And I believe it's in Solana Beach, California, San Diego area.
Really?
Yep.
That water looks perfect.
Yeah. It's definitely a winter water pick, and we have a good buddy out in San Diego. His name's Mike, and he took that picture. He's a photographer out there, and Jeff knows him real well from just San Diego and growing up out there and whatnot.
Right.
And so I just had the idea. I was like, hey man, I was out there, and I was like, let me look through some of your pictures, because I knew that I wanted a photograph for Blue Sonnet.
Right.
I just didn't know what, and we had the name Blue Sonnet already. So once I stumbled across that image with the seaweed and almost a skull-looking type thing in the seaweed, and it's just the swirl and the dark blue water with the sky and whatnot, it was just perfect, man. And it was just like, that's what I want. That's exactly what I need, And luckily, man, I got, we got some buddies who are very talented, and the guy had an incredible shot for us to use, and props to him for letting us use it, man. Because I'm very happy to put the cover on that one for sure.
As well, you should be. Now, I know you have a CD out. And will you be releasing this on an album, like LP?
Yes, we will.
Do you have an idea for a release date?
We do, actually, yeah. It's going to be in September. I don't know exact date yet.
Okay.
But we're shooting for September. It's on a European label, which unfortunately I can't announce at the moment.
That's okay.
We're just waiting for some I guess what do you say? Just things on their end.
Yeah.
You know, once they're all ready,
Sure.
then we'll get going and announce that and whatnot. It is somewhat of a dual release with this one, with a digital download and a CD first,
Right.
and then later in the year we'll be having the LP come out on a European label.
Is that when you're going to go out on a full tour, or?
We are actually going to be touring before that. We're doing a little run in August.
Are your dates up yet, or no?
We do have some dates up yet. We're still working on some other dates as well around some of those dates. But yeah, it's not going to be. I wish we were out for a month and a half on a whole U.S. tour, but unfortunately, at the August dates, we're looking at probably 2 weeks at the max.
And where can people find that?
The dates?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to be posted on our main webpage, wearechiefs.com, and it's always been wearechiefs.com, so we never changed the site. We always post our dates up there, but, also on Facebook and Bandcamp,
Sure.
We'll link them all in. You know how Bandcamps, they got, with the...
Yeah, with the dates on the side.
Right.
Sure,
So they'll be up there, too. We're just in the process of booking them right now and getting all those finalized at the moment, so... As soon as, those are all finalized, we'll definitely get them all posted up. We only have a few that are 100% booked right now.
Cool. So everybody check that out once it comes out. And they will be coming to a theater, club, bar, whatever, near you. All right, let's go back into the songs. How about Soul Sleeve?
Soul Sleeve, yeah. So that's
Well, let me say Soul Sleeve and Slug.
Okay, yeah.
And I wanted you to go back, but... the reason I said those two together, they seemed a little bit slower. Mm-hmm. And was it intentional? Is it part of the roller coaster of the album or the release? Mm-hmm. Or what was it? And I guess you could start with Soul Sleeve.
Yeah. So in a sense, it somewhat was intentional, not to really slow things down too much, but just... Jeff and I wrote Slug. We wrote all these songs together in San Diego in his bedroom. But Soul Sleeve was the only one that we didn't write together. That was one that I actually had, and it's a very, very, very simple song. It's very, very basic, not a lot to it.
But with a heavy groove.
Definitely a lot of groove. Definitely some heartfelt, vocals, I guess you could say. Some emotion in that one.
Okay.
That's a song I wrote a long time ago as a drifter, as a nomad, sleeping in a basement in Portland, Oregon, when I was drumming for a band called Knife Talk up there.
Knife Talk?
Yeah, an old band. It's no longer together, unfortunately, but yeah, Knife Talk, some real good buddies of mine.
Can you find that online somewhere?
I doubt it. Maybe the music's still up there somewhere.
Maybe a YouTube video somewhere?
Yeah, maybe. I doubt it.
Right, I'll write this down right now so I can search for it.
I doubt it. But yeah, that's a song. That's actually, it's funny because I have written a lot of songs in a long period of time, or over a long period of time, I should say.
Right.
I started writing songs when I was a drummer in Portland. I played in a band called Knife Talk and a band called Shark Party in Portland, and that's really when I first started writing songs on the guitar. And that one, like I said, super basic, but that's one that I wanted to put in because it just fits so well with the vibe of Blue Sonnet. And being number 5,
right,
dead in the middle, it's definitely it's a tough one, man. It's tough to explain because that's just
Is it a transition piece from part 1 to part 2?
Almost, yeah, almost, man. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. It's very honest, man. Almost too honest. I can't listen to that damn song because it's too.
It breaks you up a little bit.
Well, I don't. I'm not a wreck, but I mean, yeah, it definitely, pulls out some wounds, man. It's a lot of struggle in that song. But I just, like I said, it's just the whole Blue Sonnet. Blue being the vibe of the album,
right,
and Blue being the biggest vibe on that song out of any song on the album.
Sure.
I feel at least, that was definitely one that I just felt like important to add in the mix.
And how long were you sitting on that song?
That song I wrote in 2011.
Okay.
So pretty long time.
It's been sitting for 7 years.
Yeah, I got a lot of other ones I've been sitting on too, but I mean, yeah.
Well, you figure out the right time. I mean, some people
Some of them
that I've interviewed, they said they've carried a song for 20 years.
Right. I mean, there's no rules, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I try to always obviously write new stuff, and you know, some of the older stuff isn't exactly, you know, where I'm at these days. You know, even just musicianship wise.
Right.
But yeah, that one was one I just felt like was a real good middle track, and definitely just ties in the mood of the whole album. I really feel, you know.
Oh, cool.
Just some brutal honesty, I guess, on that one.
All right. I think we'll take a quick break here so we can grab another beer. Hold on. Okay, I think we're going to cut it right there, and we're going to get into a song, and then we'll play part 2 next podcast. This is from the album Blue Sonnet by King Chiefs. This is called Surely Never. Next up is the band Holy Grove. They're on Ripple Music. Go check it out. This is the title track, Holy Grove, from Holy Grove. Thanks as always for hanging out towards the end. If you need to reach us, it's doomtombpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on social media at doomtombpodcast. I throw up a bunch of videos and some other news and ideas about everything revolving around the scene, so check it out, see what you like, give it a like. Also, if you're listening on iTunes, maybe rate it, give us a couple stars, leave a review. That helps some way, somewhere, somehow. Not sure. But I heard it helps a lot. All right, so next podcast, we will get into part 2 with Paul. I hope you enjoyed part 1 as much as I did. I had a great time doing it. So until next time, enjoy yourselves. Keep going to the shows. Buy some band merch every once in a while. And don't forget to stay heavy.
Bye.